If you're a parent, you should care about local politics and maybe even get involved. I'm going to talk about why your city elections matter, why you should stay informed about local politics, and why you should consider running for local office. It's easier than you think. I'm Steven, a dad with 2 young kids, and I explore the overlap of parenting and politics. So if you're interested in hearing more about raising good human beings in a world that's chaotic, angry, and divisive, then subscribe to this channel for more videos. Now let's talk about city elections and politics and why your involvement, especially if you're a parent, really matters. City elections matter, and in some ways even more than presidential elections, but a lot less than voting for what to eat for dinner. That could cause a family civil war. Your quality of life and the things you really care about starts with your city. It's easy to rage about stuff that's happening around the country. It's harder to stay caught up on what your mayor and council members are doing. We know the names of DC politicians and what they're doing wrong, but we aren't really sure who's responsible for fixing that pothole on our street. Do you care about crime and safety? Your city determines the police budget, how many officers there are, and how they carry out their police work. Worried about housing affordability? Your city determines zoning laws and what houses can be built where. The cost of food? Again, city zoning requirements can attract more affordable grocery options or not. Do you want a better community for your kids to grow up in? Your city controls the budget and projects for streets, parks, libraries, museums, green spaces, and recreational areas. If driving through sections of town feels like a real-life Mario Kart track and not in the fun way, that's the city. Yes, state and national politics are important, and they do influence a lot of the stuff I mentioned. But I think we use that as an excuse for not caring about local politics. Pay attention to who's running your city and how they're spending your tax money. It has a direct impact on you and your kids. You know that one person in the family that says, "I don't care, you pick what's for dinner," and then they complain about what's for dinner? That's what happens with city politics. That's why it's so important to stay informed on local politics. As parents, we need to know what's going down in our city. No, I'm not talking about where the drug deals happen. Or maybe I am? Has a street sign or construction project popped up in your city and you thought, well, that's stupid, why did they do that? Or you see a random toilet on the sidewalk or a broken slide at the playground and you wonder, when are they ever going to fix that? And yes, I've seen both things. That's because a lot of stuff goes down in city government that the public never knows about. I recently went to a public city forum and over 2/3 of the people there were over 60 years old. God bless them for showing up and caring about our city. But we need more millennial parents to show up because they need to know who's making the decisions in their city. And I get it, we're busy. I've got 2 kids in sports and there's just no margin. But at this forum, some candidates had great answers, some had bad answers, and some had crazy WTF answers. One audience member even shouted at the candidate, "Are you drunk?" We were all thinking it, but you would never know that unless you heard them talk, and you wouldn't find out from their websites. How many of us have looked at a city election ballot and just checked off random names or familiar names without knowing anything about that person? It's like showing up to a multiple choice test that we haven't studied for at all because we stayed up all night binging Netflix. That's how bad leaders stay in power. I know it's hard, but when you can, show up to local forums and debates. Your city and your kids depend on it. And if you realize the people in power aren't cutting it, you should run for local office. It's easier than you think. I used to believe you had to be pretty smart and qualified to be in elected office. But then you look at some of our elected officials and you realize that anyone can be in office. Literally anyone. The bar's pretty low. And it's true all the way to local city office. My city has elections coming up for mayor and city council. For mayor, there were only 3 candidates. One was crazy, like the person that rants on the Nextdoor app crazy. So really, there's only 2 candidates, the current guy and the new guy. That's it. Of our city of 85,000-ish people, why are there only 2 candidates to choose from? It was the same for my city council district. There were only 3 candidates. It's easier to find volunteers for assistant coach and team mom for my kids' soccer team. And you all know how hard that is. So if you live in a small to mid-sized city, you can and should run for local office, regardless of your experience. Because we're in short supply of people who actually care enough about the community that their kids are going to grow up in to make good choices in government. And you'd have a pretty good chance of winning. Because if you've ever coordinated a snack list for your kid's sports team, you're overqualified. I used to be the person that would show up on election day, check off the names that I was familiar with, and randomly select names that I didn't know anything about. You've probably done the same thing. But I've recently realized how important it is to stay informed and get involved in local politics, especially as a parent. City officials are shaping the environment that my kids will grow up in, and I need to have a stronger voice in those decisions and advocate for my kids. I hope you do too. If you're a parent, I'd love to hear your take on this. Share with me in the comments. And if you want to watch more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and let me know if there are topics or issues that you've been thinking about.